Let's Take This Outside with Marianne Iveson, the podcast where she speaks to athletes, outdoor professionals, and scientists about why they connect with nature.
In collaboration with Cycling Canada, I had the chance to interview Matisse Julien and Pier-Andre Côté, two young athletes from the Canadian national team at the Grand Prix Cycliste de Montréal. This event is on the UCI World Tour, with the participation of the 18 world teams composed of the greatest riders on the planet. Please enjoy my live chat from downtown Montreal at Savoir with Matisse and Pierre. Please welcome from the Canadian national team, Matisse Julien and Pierre Côté. Thank you so much for coming. Round of applause, by the way. Can we get some?
Thank you for having us.
Really appreciate it. Welcome to Montreal, but Matisse, you're from Laval, but we kind of had a little, like, if you're in Montreal, you can't say you're from Montreal. You have to say you're from Laval, right?
Yeah, people from Montreal will get mad if I say I'm from Montreal, but in Europe, I'd say I'm from Montreal, yeah.
How are you recovering today? How are you feeling?
Well, I think the whole team was a bit tired today. For sure, more tired than we were yesterday morning. Honestly, feeling pretty good. Yesterday was pretty hard. It was a long race, a bit longer than I'm used to. Mm-hmm. In the Conti races we do, it's a bit shorter. Like if it's that long, it won't be that intense. To have that day in between makes it a bit easier as well to recover. Like if the race was today, it would have been like a really big ask. But to have that day in between is nice, and tomorrow hopefully we'll have like the best legs of our life.
But today you rode here and you already have a coffee in hand. So but you still want to spin, you still want to feel good today. You want to move your body still. Yeah.
Well, it's nice to just spin the legs, especially with the drive we had this morning from Quebec. Mm-hmm. And it's also like we were talking a bit earlier. It's mental as well. You know, you want to know like, oh yeah, I've ridden. It's fine. It's a bit for a confidence boost, just because if you're just in your room, you feel tired, you feel sluggish. You go out for a ride, you feel a little bit better.
Pierre, how are you feeling today?
Feeling pretty good, not too bad. I mean, as a cyclist, you kind of get used to being tired all the time. It's just a various amount depending on what you did the day before. Yesterday was definitely a hard race. They're unique in that way. They're just heavy on you and they get to you at the very end of them. But you get tired so suddenly that you don't fight for that long. Like it's kind of, it's quite unique. It's like difficult to explain how it happens. But yeah, we just go slightly quicker every lap. And then it's just too much for you. Like there's no like fighting for an hour or anything. It's not like you're on a long climb and just like fighting for your life. It's just like it happens all of a sudden. It's just too quick and you're out of the race. So yeah. And I mean, this morning we did the drive and then rode for a bit. Didn't feel great, but like Matisse said, anything you would do today, you could ride 30 minutes, you could ride 3 hours. The outcome is probably going to be the same. You just kind of got to ride because we ride every day, and then you're going to feel fine for tomorrow.
Other than spinning, is there anything else that you do on a recovery day? Is there something you eat? Is there something that you...
Well, on a recovery day, like today with a race tomorrow, then we definitely eat a lot.
Like how many calories are you consuming?
I don't know about calories. We definitely eat like a lot of carbs, pretty much as much as you can. Like it sounds pretty bad, but any amount that you can take without feeling actually bad and not being able to sleep would be like the right amount, I would say.
What's your carb of choice? Like potatoes, rice, bread?
I think diversity is the best thing because when you're like 3-4 days into a stage race, I can't imagine those guys doing grand tours actually, but yeah, when you're 3-4 days into a stage race and you've only had like plain pasta and plain rice, you just gotta find something different. Potatoes, toast in the morning, crepes are great. So
Matisse, you're from Laval, you're not from Montreal. But how did you get started in cycling? Let's go back a little bit.
I'd say, well, my dad was a triathlete for as long as I've known. Like he was probably a triathlete before I was born. So I've always like done little triathlons when I was younger, but also doing a lot of sports like baseball and soccer. But then one year, triathlete buddy from my dad called Frédéric Gagné, still involved in Espoir Laval Club, just told us, hey, come try this out, just for a summer activity to keep me out of the house and just go and ride on Mondays and Thursdays. So we did, and for a couple of years I just went there to ride 2 hours 2 times a week with the club. It was really fun. I was riding with all kids of my age, and we had some great coaches, which made it a lot of fun. And at some point I started competing because all the kids were going to all the races. So I started. We have a great circuit here in Quebec, and that's it. I was hooked, and I think when I was younger, like when I was maybe peewee, so 13 years old, I remember going to one of my first races, and then there was this cadet that was like winning everything out of the sprints. This guy named Pier-Andre Côté, and it was special to be in that position like a couple of years later, and then racing with Pierre. In the past 2 years, we've done some races together in France, but not in the same team. And then being in the same team this year is special. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that you've known each other.
Same.
Yeah. No, sorry. I didn't realize that you've known each other for as long as you have.
Well, when I was younger, I knew him. He didn't know me.
Oh.
That makes me sound really bad.
No. It's normal. It's normal. If you're like a second year cadet, and there's a little peewee on the road who's finished like 5th in the criterium, and you're like,
I had my idols as well back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Pierre, you come from a hockey background, right? That's kind of where you started, and then.
Yeah, right. I was just trying to stay fit during the summer for prep camps that usually happen in the fall. And my dad had been riding bikes just like recreationally for a decade maybe. Started riding with him, and then we registered for just like the club. No, not even racing, just like cycling for everyone. And after a couple rides, I think the president from the club like noticed me. I was taking like big pulls at 40 k's an hour, like maybe... What age are you at in Minim? Like 15? 14, 15?
14, 15.
Yeah, yes. So, and then decided to give it a go, racing a little bit. And I think it took like 3 months, and then like hockey was just like plan B, and like just for fun, and cycling was actually the main thing. I just really like the fact that you get rewarded so much for your efforts. Not that you don't like in hockey, but I felt like hockey was so much more about talent. Like I was always like a good hockey player. Like I had good skating, good shooting and stuff, but I didn't really have the hockey sense. I didn't have like that talent. Yeah. And I would like outwork my teammate, but not get as much success just because I didn't have it. While like in cycling, if I slept well, ate well, trained well, then I would have like a lot of success, and I enjoyed that. So.
How did you end up on the national team then? Considering Matisse, you've known him for a while, but how did you end up on the national team that you're like, oh, I can't believe that I'm riding alongside like Michael Woods or in the same race?
Yeah, it's kind of a natural process. Like you race on your trade team in Europe or in North America, and then when you get good enough results, you get selected for the national team. It's like a different national team for every project we do. So this is actually my 3rd/2nd national team project this year. I've done Pan Ams earlier in the year, and then I was selected for Worlds but got COVID right before. But it's kind of a case by case. You just, if you ride well enough in the races the rest of the year, then you get selected for the national team projects.
I feel like you're being pretty humble. You're like, if I sleep well and eat well, I'm going to do well. But this, I hope this takes talent and work, and not everyone's on the national cycling team, on the national team. So I feel like you're not giving yourself enough credit.
No, yeah, I mean, definitely everyone has like some amount of talent for sure, but I feel like you can outwork people more in a sport like cycling. Definitely, like you need talent, but I think none of us would be where we are if we didn't have a good work ethic and everything. I don't know what you think about that, Matisse. But
Matisse, what do you think?
You would probably agree, right?
Yeah, I think like cycling is one of those sports where you like there's some guys that have just massive talent, and if they work at it, they might be world champion one day. But you can get by with less talent but still be like a really good bike racer. And I think the talent bit just defines at the higher level who's like more of a winner, like who wins at the big stage, and who's more of a worker who will still get opportunities. Like if you're a domestique, you'll still get opportunities in your career, and it's also luck, and you have to grab it when you can.
So for tomorrow, it's a big race, over 220K. I think that's 4,800 meters of climbing. That's a lot, right? Is that fair? It's a lot.
Decent amount.
Yeah, it's like a good Tour de France stage, or almost a monument type race. It's a lot of climbing. It's a lot of Ks. Like for me, I think it's the longest race that I've started. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty, like I've done close to that. Like, but 220 I think is the longest race I've taken part of.
You're in your development stage, and you're learning a lot, I'm sure, especially from yesterday. So is there anything you learned yesterday that you're going to take into tomorrow, Pierre? Or Matisse?
Go ahead, Matisse. Yeah. You learned more
than I learned a lot yesterday, yes. Well, I learned one thing, which was I'm used to, let's say in Europe, kind of following the guys that I know that are going to contest for the win. Because let's say you're in the Class 2 race, you want to contest for that win. You're trying to stay around these guys, kind of marking them, but also mimicking what they're doing in terms of energy expenditure. But then I found myself kind of doing that yesterday and being like, oh, here's Arnaud Delis. I'm going to follow his wheel for a couple of laps and see what happens. But you don't realize those guys are like seasoned pros, and they're winning like 0.1s and point pros, and they're stronger than you at this moment. They're stronger than me, and they can do repeated efforts that we can't really do. So you have to race it differently. You have to save energy more than them if you want to be with them at the finish.
Let's Take This Outside now has a newsletter. Keep up to date with outdoor news, events, and great discount codes and deals from our partners. Sign up today at letstakethisoutside.ca.
And Pierre, did you learn anything yesterday that you'll take into tomorrow?
I mean, it was more of a reminder. It was my fourth time doing Quebec and Montreal, those two races. I mean, I still learn every year about like patterns on the circuit itself, but that won't carry into Montreal, unfortunately. But I mean, these races are all about being efficient for us. Like, unless you're in the breakaway, then like it's a complete different race, obviously. But in the bunch, it's like for the first 70-80% of the ride, it's mostly about being efficient, not making mistakes, taking care of those legs. Because like, unless something crazy happens, it starts raining and stuff. Like yesterday, we had to be on top of things because it was looking like it might have been starting to rain, and then you need to be more towards the front. But most of it is just managing, finding the patterns in the race, the corners. Like, there's some lines that you can take. Sometimes you end up in a corner and you get pinched in the barriers, and then you kind of have to do like a standing start into a small climb, where like if you take the perfect line, you might be freewheeling and not making a single effort, then coming out of it at 40 k's an hour instead. So you're just gonna like find those patterns, and with the years obviously it helps, but also throughout the race those patterns evolve because we're going like slightly quicker and quicker, and the door shuts a little bit earlier, it stays stretched out for longer. So yeah, you kind of just have to learn throughout the race as well. I think Matisse probably like noticed that as well. But yeah, yesterday I learned that the legs are not so bad. They have the best of legs. So I don't really know where we're headed for tomorrow. We'll talk about it tonight, but probably either try to help one of the younger guys in the breakaway, maybe help drive the breakaway. Personally, I don't have like objectives for tomorrow. It's a race that's a little bit beyond my reach. There's a little bit too much climbing. You're just there to have fun, right? Sorry?
You're just there to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I just wish I can help those guys and maybe like navigate through the peloton, maybe drive that break, be at the front of the race for a bit, entertain the crowd. And if we're not in the break, then just make it as steep as possible in the race would be the objective, I think. Yeah.
Matisse, you're essentially racing at home. Is there anyone going to be watching tomorrow that may make you a little bit nervous? Maybe your family's watching.
I mean, it was already pretty special in Quebec because I have a part of my family who's from there, and I have a couple friends that are studying in Quebec city right now. My girlfriend who's studying there was there as well.
Great.
So a lot of people who haven't seen me race in the past 4 years. Because ever since junior with the pandemic and racing in Europe after, I haven't really raced at home. So yeah, it was special to have people on the sidelines, and it'll be even more special in Montreal this year because really like all of my close family is going to be there, and a lot of my friends are going to be here, and it's really something to hear your name. Like I haven't heard my name as much as I did in Quebec
Cool.
ever, and I think I'm like I already know of a friend who's made a really good poster of me and Robin actually.
Cool.
So yeah, it's going to be fun, and as you said, I think like best thing we can do is either make it deep and entertain the crowd by just being there and in the tail end of the race, or drive that break as long as we can.
You're racing, like I mentioned, with fellow Canadians like Michael Woods, who's winning these Tour de France stages. So what's that feeling? Does it inspire you at all? Is that a feeling for you that you're like, okay, there's Canadians doing these things?
It's for sure inspiring. I think for us Quebecers, like for sure Michael is also super inspiring because he's come out from totally different sport and completely converted and spent a couple years in Europe struggling, and now he's doing like amazing things on the World Tour stage. But also for us Quebecers that went to Europe pretty quickly, it's super inspiring to look at Guillaume or Hugo as well, because they kind of had the same the same patterns as we did. So you're kind of looking at them and you're like,
cool.
When you compare yourself at the same age, you're thinking, well, if they can do it, well, you can see that there's a path. Like we can even look at Pierre or Nicolas Zukowski, and it's like a lot of guys have done it. So you kind of try to follow in their steps in a way.
That's so cool. Pierre, do you have any?
Yeah, no, I think you summed it up pretty well. I mean, it's special. I mean, I race with these guys like a bit more often than you guys do in Europe, but it's always super nice just to have fellow Canadians in the races. I mean, I probably spent like a whole lap talking with Derek yesterday, just chit-chatting.
Yeah.
Obviously in the first part of the race, not the second part. But no, it's always super enjoyable to have them around. I mean, Derek and I grew up racing together, probably like 16, 17, 18 years old. We were together, did some national team projects, I think. And now our girlfriend's our friend. We're friends. We live in the same city in Girona. So yeah, it's just always nice to have them in the same race, talk to them at dinner. We always have great conversation. And yeah, to see you go, Guillaume, Mike, it's always nice to see them at the races. It just feels a bit like home. I mean, here we're at home, but seeing them like in Europe as well, it just brings a little bit of home to the races. Yeah.
You kind of already answered it, but do you have any goals looking forward to like continuing that development that you were just talking about in the coming year?
Yeah, as for myself, I mean, I have a pretty good trajectory in the last few years. I would say like the longer term goals is for sure to do like, I want to do the best races in the sport. I want to do the most beautiful races in the sport, probably a Grand Tour, Roubaix. The big classics for me are probably like the best that suit me. And then of course the Olympics. those are big goals. But I mean, I've never been like a super objective driven person because anything can happen. I just like kind of take them as they come. Like I do everything I can to make them happen, and I try to be the best I can like at any given moment, and then things come to me, and if they're not meant to be, they're just not meant to be, because I feel like anything can happen that's out of your control. So That's why I don't like having like super precise objectives.
Right.
But I would say like longer term, that's kind of like what I'm aiming at. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Like as long as I do everything I can to make it happen, and I'm satisfied with it, then I have my own journey, I guess. Yeah.
I think that's pretty inspiring.
Yeah.
Matisse, what do you think? Same?
Well, yeah.
You're like, no, I want to.
think,
I want to win everything. Actually.
Samesies. I think for a lot of us, the objective like is like if you're doing all these races, you know, the Grand Tours, the monuments, it's like you kind of want to have a good career in cycling. So I think it's as he said, it's hard to put like a precise objective on long term in cycling, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what team you're going to sign into. But I think like the objective is still to just have a career into it, and you know, have fun doing it, basically. Just like we have the privilege to kind of earn our life for like doing what we love, cycling. So it's you know, it's special to be kind of like you can call it like to call cycling your work is kind of special, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's make this really. Let's dumb this down a little bit, and we're just gonna do a rapid fire. So I just want something very quick. If you guys want to answer like back to back, that'd be great. Okay. Okay. How fast can you change a tube if you had to?
6 minutes.
6 minutes? 2 minutes.
Like fastest time? Oh no, like 6 minutes is average time. But
Yeah. Depending.
Okay, 2 minutes if you want to go really fast.
Yeah, I mean, it depends if your tire is like kind of new. Like it could be
yeah.
like really.
This is a very
tight.
rapid fire.
Yeah. We're making it like
15 minutes on a gator skin.
yeah. I agree.
Okay, what will you eat after the race tomorrow?
A poutine.
Airport meal. I fly at 9 p.m.
Most embarrassing song on your warm-up playlist?
Barbie World by Ice Spice.
So good.
Taylor Swift. Any of the songs.
I can just imagine you like riding along to like Love Story or something. Yeah. What is your dream race?
Amstel Gold Race.
I would say Roubaix.
Chamois cream or chamois cream? Sorry, yes or no?
No.
Every day.
Even when you're not racing, even when you're not riding, just
Hour easy ride on the trainer at Chamois. Yep.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Never know.
high socks or low socks?
High socks.
I sucks.
Favorite place to train?
Po.
Po.
Po in France, Pyrenees.
Girona.
Road, gravel, or mountain?
Road.
Road.
White shoes, yes or no?
Yes.
Neither of you are wearing white shoes, by the way. So
They look good.
I wish I had white shoes. If anybody has a contact, just let me know at Pier-Andre.Côté.
Matisse, Pierre, thank you so much for joining me, and good luck tomorrow.
Thanks to you.
Thank you so much. It was great being here.
We'd like to say a special thank you to all the members from Cycling Canada's Club 1882. By becoming a member of Club 1882, you are providing critical financial support to the success of our national team athletes, helping Cycling Canada sustain development opportunities and lower the financial barriers faced by its athletes. To learn more, go to cyclingcanada.ca/club-1882.
Thanks for listening. For more Let's Take This Outside, go to let'stakeThisOutside.ca.
Produced and distributed by the Sound Off Media Company.